This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
Welcome back to another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
For those of you who are new or just joining us, we are a queer podcast.
Pun intended.
It talks about cannabis,
The LGBT community,
and everything in between.
and beyond.
So welcome.
Welcome.
Boy, howdy, am I fucking high right now?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm so sorry.
Do you want to introduce what we're on, or do you want me to do it?
Well, was this your pick this week?
I can't remember.
I don't know. I'll introduce it. It's right over here. Okay. So this is Funnel Cake from Verano.
Well, technically it's under their Savvy line, but it's owned by Verano Holdings.
It's Savvy. I just automatically in my brain, I'm like, this is just Verano. But yeah, it's Savvy. We got it in a 14G at 25.5% THCA. It has 1.793% CBGA in here, which is nice. And then their terps. Let's see our top terps in here. We got 0.359% caryophyllene, 0.280% limonene, and then everything else is pretty much under 0.1%. But those are the top two. But like, this is holy cow!
This
is nice,
real nice.
I didn't get to see the buds because you ground it up today. Let me try to open this here.
Yeah, well, you were on your appointment. I was getting everything ground and packed.
It tastes good. I had a rosin ring going on my... That's why. Holy shit. These buds are frosty. Oh, and it smells really good, too. But yeah, there was a rosin ring going. It's just... It's tasty. It was very good. Very potent. Holy cow.
Honestly, like, it's really funny because you didn't even finish.
I didn't even finish my joint. No, and when we record, I usually smoke a whole joint.
Mm-hmm.
But I got halfway through, and I'm like, I think I'm good. And then I took one more hit and put it out.
I could feel this behind my eyeballs.
I feel that too. That's definitely where this sits. But I don't feel like it's nice though. I don't have a lot of pain. I don't have any anxiety.
It's real nice.
How much are Savvy quarters anymore?
Well, this is 14 grams. This is a half ounce, which I think is 120.
Okay.
I think. So we'll ballpark 120, 150 range, but I want to say it's 120.
Okay.
I think. Don't really remember.
I wasn't quite sure.
So what would you rate this and why?
I would rate it a 4.20, a 420 out of 5. This is just, it's some of the more potent flower I've had recently, and it definitely has a very good aroma, a good profile to it. The effects are great. But like, I don't know. I don't ever like to rate anything higher than like a 4.5. I'm trying to think of the other ones I rated this high. This sits around some of the good ones, like some of the better ones we've had on the show. Which is good because Savvy, they've come a long way with the Savvy line.
And I told you when they first came into market and we first reviewed them that, to be fair, this was the first batch.
Yeah.
So keep an open mind and everything. And you were starting to see how, them getting a little more set up with this stuff has come because they have expanded their grow facilities from what I've heard.
Okay.
Since they kind of came into the state, because from my understanding, they bought a company to come into the state.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that background, but from hearsay, that's what I believe. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Pretty solid. Really flavorful. Got me really high. I don't know if it's just me right now or not, but well, it is very sticky. The bud is very beautiful. It has I don't want to say it has like a slight, like it's not a bad cure. It just feels a little rough. I want to say, and that might just be the way this particular strain grows. Um, but I'm also not. I'm feeling a lot of that caryophyllene, but not much else.
Yeah.
Um, so I would like to see the terps a little stronger, especially that limonene, because that's a really good combination. But it's still certified Slapz. So I mean, it could be way worse. Um, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I do have an update with Raw that kind of came. I'm reporting a bit late. So a few episodes ago, and the last episode reminded me to look into this. From the last time we talked about it, Raw was being sued by Republic Brands Incorporated, who owns OCB, and a couple other rolling paper companies. And I can't find anything solid of the outcome as of right now. If anybody does know, please let us know. But while I was looking up stuff, I learned Republic Brands is a tobacco company.
Interesting.
They are big tobacco, support a lot of different companies like that. Where Raw is kind of like, yeah, you can use it for tobacco, wink, because they have to for so long.
Yeah.
Republic Brands is like, no, we're for tobacco, and just in more recent years been like, oh, okay, kind of cool. Let's support some cannabis, people and everything and influencers, because I do like OCB paper as a product, but learning about Republic Brands' background has been a little bit on the shady side for the last few years. And I feel like the whole Raw lawsuit was kind of a tactic like that a lot of people, including us, kind of fell for. Um, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot that came out with it that we kind of was good, and it's weird seeing what's changed since then. So some of the biggest changes is that in May of this year is kind of when everything kind of settled. And there were some changes to the Raw website. Now I can't find anything super super different. Sorry, I'm just trying to move the computer down a little bit so I can read my notes. But one thing I did find interesting is Raw's current Raw giving page. It states that it's about 18 months ago, Raw's charitable giving efforts was renamed Raw Giving to avoid confusion. Raw Giving never accepted donations and has never been a charity in itself. It is the name we give to Raw's own humanitarian efforts. Raw gives to charities. Over the years, we've contributed more than $2.5 million in direct cash contribution, plus in-kind contributions about $200,000 to a wide variety of charities. This has helped bring clean water to many thousands of people, water to the Sisters of Mother Teresa hospitals in Ethiopia, helped homeless pets in no-kill rescue shelters, plants hundreds of thousands of trees, and much more. Now, seeing that this looked different from the last time you and me went to talk about it, and we were doing some research, and even looked different than what it was when the lawsuit was brought into the public eye. So I looked via the Wayback Machine and saw that Raw's donation page, Raw Giving, still called Raw Giving at that time, I was looking September 2022 was when I was looking at it per the Wayback Machine's thing. It did have a donation button. It says mission donations. And when and even had the page to buy specific products where all the proceeds went to a specific organization. In this case, when I was looking, was the Sisters of Mother Teresa. So the issue we had with Raw, because we even said Republic Brands is probably doing shady stuff. That's why most of this stuff is. But we were very much upset about the donation issue. They were so lying with that, and that was the big thing with you and me, if I recall correctly. Is there anything you want to bring up before I move further with this?
I don't think so.
Okay. But it seems that the change was caused because of that, and they were focusing on the donations. Now, the whole like Illinois licensing, advertising bullcrap, that was the other part of the lawsuit. I couldn't give two shits about.
Yeah.
That was bullshit stuff. We were more focused on the donation side. Because what it seemed like at the time, which is still a shady practice in my opinion, was if with the buying items and the proceeds go to a certain organization, or they're asking for donations, is most corporations like Target, Walmart, whatever, if you're in Pittsburgh, Giant Eagle, what they'll do is they'll ask for donations and making it seem like you're donating it to these companies, and they're just being like a middleman to gather everything.
Yeah.
Most of these companies have already donated money to whatever charity organization or whatever that they're going for. And what they're doing is basically taking the money that you're donating it and putting it back into their pockets to cover the cost. And it kind of seemed like that's what Raw was kind of doing, but also at the same time, it was very, very weird. Like there was something off with it. And then the fact there was like a bunch of lies, like I don't like corporations to begin with, and the reason why there was a big stink about it is because there's been a bunch of scandals after scandals with like cannabis corporations over the last few years, and this just seemed like it was another one. And we were worried that because Raw says, oh, we're a big advocate for this, we're a big supporter of like cannabis and reform and everything, that they're doing this shit. It's just we don't want that, and so we spoke out about it. We got some flack on TikTok for speaking out about this, let me just say. But yeah, that's the update. That's not what I want to hit. But yeah,
going back to your point though, like these corporations, if they donate so much money, don't they also get a tax break?
Yep.
From making all these big donations? So you're better off, if you want to donate to anybody, do it from your own pocket, to their own website. Don't use any middleman. Don't press those buttons at Walmart or Giant Eagle or wherever. Just go to their website or find their local branch and donate directly to them.
Except for cannabis-based companies, I found out, because cannabis companies can use tax write-offs because of IRS has a code. It's like 238E or something like that, where if you have any income, even as a corporation, for any illicit or federally illegal drugs, you cannot do tax write-offs.
Yeah, none whatsoever. None at all. No business expenses. Nothing.
So like cannabis companies doing donations, like it's really good. Keep up doing, donations. Donate to like Less Prisoner Project, whatever, as cannabis companies. Like, cool, good on you. But that also makes it hard, because I tried getting where I work to try raising money for like local pride organizations and everything, or even just bigger ones that are nationwide. I had like no's. I gave them like a whole like mission thing, and it was shut down. And then one of the higher ups for our state came on to like my store, and I was trying to talk to him about it, and he goes, yeah, but 23080, and then just kind of brushed me off and walked away. And I'm like, the fuck, dude? It's good publicity, at least.
Yeah.
Can I have some of your water? Do you want to talk about the next thing, or do you want me to introduce that as well?
I mean, that was your topic, so like, if you wanted to talk about it.
I need one more step. I'm sorry, this thing is giving me bad dry mouth.
I feel that.
It also doesn't help that I broke my tongue the other day using your thermos thing, like that thermos thing you got from Costco.
It keeps it so hot. It keeps whatever you put in there so hot.
Yeah, an hour after I made hot tea in it, and it was still like 185 degrees.
Yeah, and I think you poured it in, it was like 195.
Mm-hmm.
That thing will keep your tea hot all day.
So, in kind of weird, I don't want to say it's good or bad because it's kind of vague in a way. I can see people doing good, but I can see people doing bad. State bill or Senate bill, I'm not sure which it is officially, 773 passed the Pennsylvania Senate on September 20th this year with 44 yeses and 3 noes. It will still need to be voted on by the House. It has to go through a committee for the House first to see if it'll be attached to the agenda. But according to the paperwork, and I've read, so I read, this is kind of being influenced a little bit by how other people's read it, how magazine, and also me reading it, because I actually looked at the legislative document and actually like where they crossed stuff out and read, added stuff and read. They made it like in actual type fonts, which was nice. I didn't have to read anyone's handwriting and try deciphering chicken scratch.
Yeah.
But it was very nice to see. But basically, this bill will enable independent grower processors or dispensaries to enter the market with an initial fee that is much lower than what, say, some of the bigger MSOs have paid to get into the industry. And they will have a protection that no other person can buy their license up for a year.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing that sounds interesting, because it sounds like what we're going to have is basically our grower processors who are Pennsylvania only, because it says independent grower processor. So that makes me think Penn Health Group and I think Perea is still a Pennsylvania only company. I have to double check on that, but definitely Penn Health Group is a Pennsylvania only company. So I thought, okay, that would be good. Now, people are worried that other players like Prime will be able to get into this. Now, Prime is technically an MSO. They don't have any dispensaries in this state, but they have dispensaries in New Jersey and a few other states. They're like the botanists. They have dispensaries and grows in New York State that I know of, and I think they're in Michigan as well. But they're like in one other state. I can never freaking remember, and I didn't put it in my show notes, so I do apologize for that. Now there was a home grow portion. I originally have, if I recall correctly, someone did verify this to me. There was a home grow portion attached to it, but it was shut down. My belief is, this is just my opinion, it was shut down because of lobbying from MSOs. Including one who's been notoriously, I'm for cannabis, but I like fuck home grow, fuck actually the patients, because I think he's in like Truly's pocket personally.
Yes.
Senator Sheriff Strait.
Of course, Truly would be the one that was like holding the fucking home grow up.
Well, yeah, because here's my thing. We brought up to them like, oh, why guy you don't support home grow on Twitter, back when it was actually Twitter and not X.
Nobody calls it X. It's still Twitter.
It's the
Literally,
URL
if you
is
look,
still Twitter.
Yeah, the URL is still Twitter. If you look at the code, it all still says Twitter, because Elon Musk just basically put a skin over it.
Mm-hmm. But it, I was like, oh well, we support home grow. Look at Michigan, we have home grow here. Yeah, that's because the state does it. We've said this song and dance before, but I learned recently, to be on a little side tangent, because this is also really old news. Florida has almost, or has enough signatures to put recreational on the ballot, but DeSantis is like very firmly against it.
Mhm.
But you know who's pushing for the recreational? It's all being lobbied and gathered up by Trulieve. Because Trulieve
wow.
is one of 2 or 3 dispensary companies in the state of Florida,
Yeah.
which is a medical only state. The only other one I know for a fact is down there is Move, which is owned by Verano.
Mhm.
And I can't remember the rest. I only remember that because of like the breakdown that I kept seeing on Twitter and everything. And Move just looked weird to me, so my brain latched onto that. Let's see. Now I will say the issue with like Penn Health Group, is that yes, it is a Pennsylvania only company. They are also owned by a rich person who got into cannabis, and I'm not 100% sure if they're actually for cannabis or they just saw a money opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that's the hard thing with a lot of these people who start up big cannabis companies is that they are already rich enough to pay the fee. And while I hope that the Senate of Pennsylvania, their hearts in the right places and seeing that like most of these MSOs who created a monopoly in our state and try getting more people out there, it's so vague that I could see like someone going, I want to get into the cannabis industry because I want to get into the cannabis industry because I really am adamantly for this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone who has like a restaurant and it's really doing very well in Pittsburgh and has enough capital to be like, you know what, I want to do this. Or, you know, as an example, because it's still going to be ridiculously like it's going to be thousands of dollars still. But it's going to be more, I want to say, more of a mom and pop thing.
Yeah.
But the way it's written, it's so fucking vague that I don't think it's going to happen. And it's just going to be people who already are rich enough, like Penn Health Group, to be able to do it. So, who knows? No, I did add a little blurb here of the reasoning for this. So the Medical Marijuana Act that was enacted in 2016 specifically stated that no more than of the more than 5 of the state's 25 grower process license holders were allowed to have dispensaries. The remainder must sell their products to retail dispensaries, which acts as middleman, but the system has grown to a near monopoly, according to lawmakers, and creating an imbalance which the bill aims to correct. Because that's true. The only one, and that's the weird thing is yeah, there were 5 of the grower processors. So you had Salivo, which is with their own thing, the Healing Center, which was their own thing. Sunnyside was already here. Ethos was already here. And I think True Leaf was already here. Verano bought the Healing Center, and that's how they got Zen Leaves and everything in the state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall them having that. And True Leaf bought Salivo. So we're really down to 3 people who have grower processing facilities and can grow and sell their own. Now there are outliers like oh wait, there's AYR, there's Air.
Mm-hmm.
How do they I think they bought I have no recollection of how they do this or I didn't even look this up, but they might have bought their licensing and everything and bought people.
AYR in the state bought Nature's Medicine.
Yes, I do know that. But Nature's Medicine was like a send. They didn't have a grower processor license. They were just a dispenser. They were just a dispense only facility. Maybe Salivo was also just a. Maybe Salivo was because I'd never been to a Salivo before it was bought out. Like we moved here, Salivo was already in the process of being bought out by True Leaf.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Slevo might have been like nature's medicine. It was already there. So, of course, take everything I say with this with a grain of salt. But basically, what you're down to right now that I know for a fact they have dispensaries and grow facilities. Primal or True Leaf,
Mm-hmm.
Cure Leaf.
Yeah.
So True Leaf has grow facilities and dispensaries. Cure Leaf has grow facilities and dispensaries. Verano with their Zen Leaves have grow facilities and dispensaries. Cresco has grow facilities and dispensaries, and AYR has grow facilities and dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 5, that makes up 80% of what's sold at my dispensary.
Yeah.
Because other than that, but there's also Ethos, and Ethos has a grow facility and everything. So that doesn't make sense. How would we have 6 when the Axe has 5? Because Ethos has grow facilities. They have natural selections. That's their products.
Yeah.
And they have dispensaries.
Be allowed to also. That's weird.
Something's not sitting right.
Yeah. Unless they amended it. Remember they amended it in 2018.
Yes, but that wasn't it because this is what they're fixing right now. Because the Medical Marijuana Act, right now, still states no more than 5. How do we have 6?
Pennsylvania, explain.
Someone lobbied.
Yeah,
Someone
somebody had
lobbied.
money. Somebody had some money somewhere.
Because unless someone's a subsidiary that we don't know about, like Ethos is owned by one of the others.
I didn't think they were. I thought Ethos was their own thing.
I thought Ethos was their own thing. We're going to have to give you guys an update on that.
Yeah, because the math's not math in here for some reason.
Yeah, this is like toilet paper math right now.
Yeah.
So Senator, before we leave, Senator Tim Carney of Delaware County stated that Pennsylvania's medical system is dominated by just a few corporations who control the massive majority of the retail market. And they sell to corporate buyers on their terms, or you close your shop. Senator Majority Leader Jay Costa of Allegheny County similarly described a monopoly-type situation with out-of-state, multi-state organizations coming into the detriment of these independent grower processors. That and allowing grower processors to sell directly would help combat market concentration, which would be good because it would make prices go down, which we need in Pennsylvania. Because we've seen what happens when these MSOs control a state. Look at New Jersey. Look at Florida. Their prices are ridiculous.
And their quality is not that good.
Is there anything you want to add before we go to our little break?
I'm just interested and curious to see how all this is going to shake out. Because there are a lot of amendment bills. There's a lot of cannabis legislation trying to pass right now in PA. We still have the adult use bill that's been in there since 2017 that hasn't moved yet. I'm curious. I'm not holding my breath for anything, but I'm curious to see how this is all going to straighten itself out.
Well, I will say the one from 2017 has actually died.
That one died off finally.
That one, no, that's been dead.
Oh.
There's been similar ones reintroduced. And the one we talked about, I want to say 2 months ago, is the one that's the current one that was introduced.
Okay, because I didn't know. I knew they were introducing new bills. I didn't know what happened to that one.
They usually, if they don't pass the House or the committee or whatever after a certain point and get in the agenda, it's not going to happen for the session. And then if it gets stuck till next session, it's just kind of dead in a loop, like a limbo, essentially.
Okay.
We'll be right back from with our break. I can speak. Pretty in Pink and purely wood pulp derived, Blazy Susan pink rolling papers and cones will add a pop of color to your next smoke sesh. Their classic pink papers are naturally dyed, vegan, GMO free, and food safe. They contain no amounts of heavy metals or pesticides unlike other paper producers. Care about what goes in your lungs with Blazy Susan papers and cones. Use promo code BGSOTC20 at checkout to get 20% off with your friends at Smoking Out the Closet. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $50 in the United States.
And we're back.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm so fucking toasty.
It's the same.
You want to talk about the next thing?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this thing. I think it's kind of cool. I am a kind of a census nerd. I was the person in the household who filled out the census when it came around. The Census Bureau wants to test asking about sexual orientation and gender identity on biggest survey. This article was written on September the 19th on Yahoo News. The U.S. Census Bureau asked the Biden administration on Tuesday for permission to test questions about sexual orientation and gender identity for people ages 15 and above on its most comprehensive annual survey of life in the country. The statistical agency wants to test the wording, response categories, and placement of gender identity and sexual orientation questions on the questionnaires for the American Community Survey, which collects data from 3.5 million households each year. The ACS covers a wide range of topics, from family life, income, education levels, and employment, to commuting times, internet access, disabilities, and military service. Federal agencies are interested in the data for civil rights and equal employment enforcement, the Census Bureau said in a Federal Register notice. Because of the American Community Survey size, asking these questions will give researchers a chance to look at the differences among LGBTQ people, whether some face bigger challenges than others because of their race, gender, or where they live, said M.V. Lee Badgett, an economics professor at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I can speak. This is pretty cool. Because for the longest time, the census was like, how many people live here? Are they male, female? And I'm like, well, now filling out, I'll be like, what?
Yeah, and I mean, even when they added some LGBT stuff, it was like, are they gay? Are they lesbian? Are they straight? How many people live here?
Yeah.
Like, and that was like the most recent one that we had. I don't think there was anyone like that before.
Mm-mm.
So it's nice to see that it's still growing.
Yeah. It also goes on to say, as currently written, the census and ACS questions only ask about same-sex couples who are married or are living together. Asking about sexual orientation or gender identity in the survey will also shed light on LGBTQ people who are single or not cohabitating with their partners, said Kurth Conan, research director of the Williams Institute at UCLA School of Law. Census Bureau has already requested millions of dollars to study how best to ask about sexual orientation and gender identity. The results could provide much better data about the LGBTQ plus population nationwide at a time where views about sexual orientation and gender identity are evolving. As the nation's largest statistical agency, the Bureau sets an example for how other agencies and businesses ask these questions. The closing clip I thought was interesting, closing quote. Younger LGBTQ people might not yet be out to their parents and others who are answering these questions as a proxy reporter, so the quality of the data might not be as good for younger people, which that is an important point.
Yeah, it might have a lot of like anyone who's a minor basically be missing from the results. So we're gonna have to compare that to like the other ones, and essentially you're gonna see a growth and a plateau. But it's nice to kind of see where everything is in that regard. But I would love to see this, and I am very excited for the next census, and I hope we are in it. We're in that surveyor's section.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I just thought that was pretty cool. More representation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to talk about this one?
Yeah, well, no, I did the first two.
All right, cool. So, another article this one comes from the marijuanaherald.com on September 21st. It was written, a bill filed in the U.S. House of Representatives to legalize marijuana and expunge charges has 33 sponsors. U.S. Representative Gerald Nadler, a Democrat from New York and a ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, has refiled the Marijuana Opportunity, Reinvestment, and Expungement Act, also known as the MORE Act. That's some nice bud. Very nice picture. The MORE Act was filed today with 33 corresponders, all Democrat. The proposal has been passed through the House of Representatives twice, but stalled in the then Republican-led Senate. Now the measure has been filed when Republicans control the House and the Democrats control the Senate. If the measure were to be passed through the House for a third time, proponents are optimistic it can garner the 60 votes it needs to pass the Senate. But with Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker and Representative Jim Jordan as chair of the Judiciary Committee, it is uncertain if the proposal will receive any real consideration. Under the MORE Act, marijuana would be removed from the federal list of controlled substances, effectively ending its prohibition nationwide. Good. This is best case scenario. It's just not going to be controlled at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, states would still have the authority to institute their own regulations, even their own bans on marijuana.
Like some do with alcohol.
And the proposed law would place a 5% excise tax on legal marijuana sales for the first 2 years, with increasing to 8% by the fifth year. The MORE Act includes numerous provisions to protect marijuana consumers, including preventing them from being denied public benefits, and will allow the expungement, or the removal of crime records for nonviolent marijuana-related offenses. According to two separate polls released earlier this year, 64% of adults in the United States support marijuana being legalized for recreational use.
And this is a huge thing. I mean, this is huge because, like, it's not the SAFE Act. I hate the SAFE Act, which only benefits MSOs to allow them to be able to use cards and, like, credit cards and everything and basically work as business as usual, but be able to get loans, do IRS tax write-offs, and basically just gives an easier chance for these corporate weed companies that own almost everything to continue and end up owning everything. This one's a little bit better. While it doesn't actually do anything with like how each state is run, it definitely is going to help, I think, probably ease up a lot of the burden and everything, and does help a lot of people get out of jail, which I'm very, very much for. The one worry I have with this one is there's nothing for social equity added to it.
Yeah.
Which again, it's basically how it's written is for the states to determine. So it's basically federal government goes, all right, fuck it, it's legal, and wipe their hands of it.
Figure it out.
Which I don't know if that's the best option. It's a great option to have on the table. Could do a little better, I think, but I mean, it's a nice step. Because, like, places like Texas are just going to be like, nah, fuck it. No weed.
Yeah.
Because we see it a lot in, like, county levels with alcohol. Hell, even California, there are cannabis-free counties and cities where they're like, no, we don't know dispensary can set up shop here. So you have to drive, like, an hour or two away to go buy your weed because, California's fucking big.
Yeah.
But then, my worry is that, I mean, because, like, then you're just going to basically be like how fucking people are with, like, other states, like fucking Philly with New Jersey. It's just a hop and skip over. Like, say PA goes, no, we're not going to have weed. No legal weed in PA. Everyone's in Philly going, all right, fuck you. Jump over the bridge to go to Jersey.
Exactly.
The problem, Jersey weed sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And I'm not saying they're concentrates or they're edibles, but they're fucking
Their
weed
flour?
itself. Like,
Yeah,
the flour.
it's not good.
Fucking boofaroni.
And people bitch about PA weed.
Oh my god, I have this regular who comes in at least once a week. Can I vent about this on pod?
Yeah.
who says that Pennsylvania's got the worst weed on the East Coast and the most expensive. And I'm like, my
They've never been to
guy.
New Jersey then.
And I was like, have you been to Jersey? Because that's way worse. Ohio's worse and more pricier for smaller sides than us. Like,
Good grief.
Virginia's got nothing. They have nothing. It's a recreational state that has no shops.
What the fuck?
Like, and I love my home state of Virginia, but there's a lot of things that state has back asswards. Like, it's so weird. Like, fucking New York is fucking legal, and they're still fighting to get shops open and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's. And he's like saying, like, oh, this is the same guy I think I've mentioned to you before, who came in and said, like, how come Pennsylvania never has like 35% THC all the time like New York does? And I'm like, well, that's because they're fudging the numbers because it's regulated, but they don't have shops, so everyone who's selling it on the streets and everything aren't covered under that license and are just probably paying the fines to get away with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's like cereal. They can make it 100% if they want. I'm like, yeah, they're adding shit. They're either adding like concentrates to it.
Yeah.
Or they're adding chemicals to it. And I'm like, dude, you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And you act like I don't know what I'm talking about when I have a podcast.
And you work at the fucking dispensary.
And I don't want to be that asshole. It's like, well, I have a podcast. I know better. And I'm like, it's not even just me. I listen to Cool Nerd Weed Show, which shout out to them. I listen to like Weed and Grub. I listen to Smoke to Smoke. I listen to a bunch of other podcasts. I read articles and everything like this. And I try actually having informed information in my noggin. As limited space as there is now from having a damaged memory card. For my head injury, not the weed. I don't know why I felt like I had to specify on that. But it's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know why it's I don't know. I really don't know why people think that, like, I'm quoting this guy right now. Oh, you can make it like cereal. Like, my guy, that's not how any of that works. Like,
weed is not like cereal at all.
No. Like, okay, cool. All right, let's do a hypothetical. You want flour, right? You want it higher than 35% THC, which is pushing what flour can do naturally by itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make flour higher?
You can't.
You add THCA sand. That is the only, or you add like rosin or a concentrate of some kind.
Yeah, but the flour itself, you can't make it make more THC.
You can't. And that's the thing I don't think people understand a lot of the times is the only way you can have, and like some people like that. Some people will actually buy, like when Cresco has their sand infused ground flour that's like at 40 something percent THCA. Yeah. Or they'll buy like sand that's rated at 89% THCA, and then they'll buy a flour and they say they just mix it. And I'm like, cool, fine, that's cool. You know, you want to get high, you know, make the THC higher, cool. I don't blame you for that. I mean, it's not the end all be all. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
But like, this is it's a little frustrating when I'm like trying to explain how the science works to somebody and they're just like, it's a brick wall. And it's right, don't be that asshole to your bud tenders or your cannabis advisors or bud technicians or whatever,
dispensary technicians, whatever they're called,
whatever they're fucking
people
called.
at the dispensary employees. There we go.
Yeah, like don't
be a dick.
Because sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, because there are outliers. Like, we do a lot of research, especially if it's a good dispensary. They do a lot of research and a lot of science is shared and everything behind the scenes that you guys just don't see. And like, more often than not, I can't speak for everyone. Again, there's a lot of us out there that are actually doing research and getting. We get magazines at my store that talk about cannabis as an industry. It's like a business magazine, but it talks about the science of cannabis a lot in it, and it explains how certain things work. Hell, fucking Pennsylvania, we have this program called Seed Talent where we all learn things. Like we all get, like, yeah, some of it's company based stuff that they share for, like, learn more about this blah 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 product, but it also talks about the science of it, like,
Yeah.
here's how THCA works, here's how cannabinoids work, here's how terpenes work, here's how they make RSO, here's how they make fucking concentrates.
Yeah.
It's it's redonk. It is very ridiculous to me. I also don't have anything else for the pod. That was all on my notes.
Okay.
We went through it a little faster than I was expecting.
Whoops.
It's all good. Crap. I did have a Skittle this week, and I can't remember. I didn't make a note of it. Fuck. Do you have a Skittle this week?
I don't have a Skittle. No.
Oh. I feel bad because I did. Can I help you? You just randomly put your hand in my hoodie pocket?
I did. I put my hand in your hoodie pocket.
Get out!
Yeah, no, I don't have a Skittle.
Fuck it, you know what? Our Skittles are y'all. All of our listeners today.
All of you.
All of you for taking the time to listen to it. We're gonna definitely start getting back into the Skittle thing. But I just, let's say, I want to say thank you to everybody who listens to this show. It means a lot.
Yeah.
To us. And you guys interacting with us means a lot to me. Personally, because I see how some people come in to, like, my shop that I've kind of explained my, hey, I work on a podcast. Like, they're like, how do you have all this knowledge? And I'll be like, well, we do learn a lot in the industry, but I also have a podcast because, like, I want to learn a little extra to explain to the listeners. And I'm very thankful to those people who actually give a listen and follow.
Yeah.
And some of them will come up like, hey, listen to that episode. Good job. And I'm like, aw. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everybody who listens.
Pulling the whole PBS thing. With support from listeners like you. Thank you. Oh geez. Trying to think what else is going on. We are gonna have a little background thing. So MJ Arsenal is sending us a little care package.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited.
So shout out to them. We're probably gonna do an unboxing video, definitely after this video airs. Because we don't have it yet and the episode comes out tonight because we're recording a little late.
Yeah, it's all right.
Because you and our partner Mia went to the Ren Fair
on Sunday,
and y'all got very tired.
Oh yeah.
And I was very tired for some reason when I came home from work. So, like, we all took a nap in the living room.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was nice though.
It was very nice. It was a rainy kind of day though. It was just a very sleepy day. We're only like 18 minutes into the second half here, babe.
I know. I'm trying to think anything else, even if, like, something gay. I'm trying to think something gay because we talked a lot about weed today.
A lot of weed stuff.
Man, I felt I was curating this all week for the show notes, and I thought I had enough.
I honestly, in my defense, I didn't run across much on my Google News feed, weed or gay related.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually send you a couple things during the week, and I didn't find much. Sorry.
I kind of want to talk about Qberg a little bit.
Okay.
So Qberg is kind of like a part of this network thing that I'm probably butchering. It's like a local queer news site, and they do have, like, I think every 3 or 4 months send out, like, actual copies and everything.
Yeah.
But they're really cool. There's like directories of like different LGBTQIA plus businesses and allied businesses. Like you can find like queer owned businesses. You can find like advocacy groups, lawyer groups. There's like a trans based lawn care service I thought was really cool.
That
It's
is
owned by
cool.
someone who's trans. There's I'm not gonna say it because it'll give away where we live, but the coffee shop near us, that
Mhm.
local one,
Yeah.
that's queer owned.
There's two very local ones. The
The
one.
one that's closer to us before you hit the train tracks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Aw. I
I
didn't know it was.
I don't want to give away where we live because I actually kind of like where we live. It's very quiet and everything,
Yeah.
and I highly doubt anyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you know,
We're gonna try and find you.
Yeah. But haters on the internet, they're out there, and I know I've gotten a lot of flack on Twitter for sharing our podcasts and everything, and
You just gotta be safe, as
Yeah.
always. Putting anything on the internet, be safe. Be
Mhm.
smart about it.
dude, Twitter's gotten fucking gross. I went today. I went on Twitter for the first time in I want to say 2 weeks, other than just quick sharing our podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Someone shared a thing about like I think it was like bisexuality week because I think it's bisexuality month or week happened something recently. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But a few days ago was the bisexual day of visibility or awareness day. Totally, like I feel bad because I don't remember all these days, but there's so many freaking days.
There's so many of us. So many
Yeah.
alphabets.
And like that's not a bad thing. It's just
It's hard to keep up.
I'm busy a lot. I work 12-hour days,
Mhm.
and with a move and everything, I just let it pass me again, you know. But the equal rights page shared it, and then a lot of people were saying, "See, there's only two genders. Da, 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 there's only two genders." And everyone's like, "Yeah, it's your gender and one other." It doesn't necessarily like mean there's only two. Like someone goes, "Well, what about a bicycle?" It's like, okay, so does a bicycle nullify the existence of tricycles?
No.
Just because you have an object with two wheels doesn't mean that there's no. Do cars not exist? It brought me up. It reminded me that no one in that chain I saw brought up the bisexual manifesto, which was made in the '90s, that talks about that it is not just man and women, but others beyond that binary.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the terminology that we had today, or didn't use the terminology, because I don't think it was there was no vernacular for it, you know.
Yeah.
But like, still, it's like, why this is dumb. This is so dumb, and literally, it's just become this toxic hellscape for queer people. And I learned recently the reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter was not a capital adventure. It was literally because he blames Twitter for his kid who is trans for being trans. Because according to him, it's brainwashed his kid.
So he decided to buy it.
So he decided to buy it, and is basically that's why he is allowing the whole free speech and everything, and allowing these toxic people and organizations to do this shit.
Disgusting.
Yeah. He's literally turning into like Turning Point, the social media page. Which also, first off, fuck Turning Point USA. Fuck y'all. Because literally have like this whole like youth education pages and everything that some schools in Texas and Florida are using. And literally one of the things was, oh, some of the slaves are okay being enslaved.
The fuck?
Yeah. Slavery was a good thing. Our founding fathers had slaves. Yeah, some of them did. They're not perfect men. They even noted that they are fallible and they make mistakes. And that's why they made the Constitution a living, breathing, and, metaphorically speaking, a easily changed, ever evolving document because they knew there was things that were going to change down the road that they could not think of.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew they weren't perfect men either. Oh my gosh, imagine that. But literally saying to like on this kids like kid educational quote unquote educational videos that slavery was a good thing. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
No, just shut the fuck up.
Like, so yeah, that's what Twitter's become.
Ugh, gross. I'm only ever on there for like the police blotter page that I follow.
Oh, the Pittsburgh police scanner.
Yeah, and then and Mythical
Yeah.
and Hank Green. If you ever listen to this, hi, I love you. You're awesome.
I think I'm tapped out. I can't think of anything. Oh, we are working on trying to get a live show set up to benefit Trans Uniting here in Pittsburgh. I believe we talked about it before. If any cannabis organization wants to work with us to kind of get that show up the road, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I should ask Go Grinder. They're local.
Heck yeah.
I think it'd be a good sponsor for them and everything. But like, yeah, we're trying to get a show off the road. Don't know when. Probably next year, at some point. But yeah, we're trying to get a live show to benefit Trans Uniting. I will put a link to their website again in the show notes where y'all can donate funds to help with like food and clothes and stuff that are needed because they are a big organization that helps with like other smaller organizations or kind of as a part of the network for some of the smaller organizations that help with like housing issues for LGBT people. They actually are a big part of the community center here in Pittsburgh, which is an LGBT safe space, which I think is just getting an upgrade according to their Instagram.
Oh, that's cool.
And so much more. So like they're a great group. So definitely work with them if you can. And if you can't, definitely work with your local LGBT organizations to do what you can. Like if it's donate food or anything, like we've done with my store, we've donated to 2 different LGBT organizations that helps with food, clothing. Winter's around the corner, so coats.
Yeah.
And even if it's not LGBT, do what you can. Like try helping people where you can. And if you don't see anybody doing that, be that. Like start a coat drive, start a canned food drive or whatever, and donate to your local soup kitchen or like clothing center to make sure kids get coats and stuff for people who aren't out in the cold. I don't know. I just like I
do your part in your community.
Yeah, like I've just been a part of like I grew up in a very spread the love kind of family, and I kind of want to have a podcast. I have a microphone. Well, let's just spread the love more.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think I just we're done. I'm sorry. I feel like I was just talking about everything and nothing all at the same time once we ran out of topics. I'm sorry. It was kind of a looser episode in the second quarter of it, or the last quarter. Because I can talk. Second quarter is the last half. Is there anything you wanted to add or say?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, once again, my name's Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And this has been another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
Bye.
Bye.